Good morning, John.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Doing good. And you?
Oh, pretty good.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, we'll vote against the minutes this morning because it's.
Ken is on his way. He's just having a little trouble getting logged on, so we'll just give it a minute if that's okay with everybody.
Judge, is Doug there with you?
Yes, he is.
Just want to make sure.
Does have a question or anything? I'll be glad to try to answer while we're waiting.
No, I didn't have a question. I just figured I'd go ahead and beat the judge to it.
Thank you. I always forget. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Jim, would you like to open with a prayer?
Okay. Our Father God in heaven, we thank you for this day. And as always, we ask for your guidance and your wisdom during our meetings, that we will make the best and correct decisions that we can. Father, we ask for your blessings upon us to make those correct decisions. And we ask for your blessings upon this county and this state and our country, the tough times that we're going through right now. And we just ask you to rid this country of this virus as soon as possible. And we know that through your power, you're able to do that. And we just ask you to get back to some sort of a normalcy in our lives. And Father, we thank you for your son, Jesus, who laid down his life for the forgiveness of our sins. And it's in his name we pray. Amen.
All right. Still don't see Ken yet. Hang on just a second. Okay, Ken's still evidently having a little trouble getting logged on, but we can go ahead and start without him. This is Monday, February 1st already. And we're ready to call the roll, please.
Squire Brewer,
Here.
Squire Mike Moody,
Here.
Squire Beaverson,
Here.
Judge Riley,
Here.
Squire Travis,
Here.
Squire Jerry Moody,
Here.
Okay, we've got a quorum and we're ready to do business. First item of business will be approval of the minutes of the prior court meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes with any needed additions, deletions, or corrections.
We've got a motion
I'll second that.
and we've got a second. Anybody have any corrections? I do have one. On page 14. Wait a minute. Yeah, I believe it's page 14. There was a contract for Convoy Enterprises LLC that was for a dead animal pickup. That was in the electronic packet. It may not have been in the hard copy packet that some of you got. But I'd like to make sure that that contract is in the minutes.
Not on page 14, not on mine anyhow.
Am I looking at the wrong page number, page 10 maybe?
Mine says page 14.
Well, there's two numbers. There's one at the top and one at the bottom.
You're right. Yep.
Yeah, page 12 at the top. You okay with that, Lynn?
Yeah, I can put that.
Okay,
somewhere.
all right.
I mean, I will put that in this meeting minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other corrections? If not, call the roll, please.
I'm writing myself a note if you don't mind.
No, that's no problem. Take your time.
Or Mike Moody,
Yes.
or Beaverson,
Yes.
Woods Riley,
Yes.
or Travis,
Yes.
or Jerry Moody,
Yes.
or Brewer.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. And next item is communications from Judge Executive. Just have a couple of things. Some of this is in your packet. We've got a letter from the Shelby County Jailer indicating an increase from 31 to 33. That'll take effect July 1 for the new fiscal year. Just wanted you all to be aware of that. We'll have to consider that in our budgeting. I've also included what I'm calling a statement of correction and assertions. And I want that included in the minutes only because of what was in the previous minutes. So with regard to pay rates and so forth. Another letter that you should have in the packet was from Robert Brown, the state local finance officer, with regard to the pay rates for the elected officials. And it was an interesting, if you look at the very first paragraph, the last sentence says these salary guidelines reflect adjustments to statutory maximums in order to, quote, maintain an equivalent purchasing power. And this is what I always am aware of when I look at employee pay rates is if we don't at least, and I think this year they're increasing 1.4%. If they don't increase those rates by at least 1.4%, you've actually gone backwards. So we'll be considering those in the upcoming budget process. That's all I have. And with that, I'm going to move on to communications from citizens. Is there anyone that'd like, pardon me? Okay, I've dealt with that. Sorry about that. Is there anyone that would like to address the court this morning? I don't see anybody. I see who, I'm not sure who that is iPhone as a guest. Not sure if they want to address the court this morning. If not, we will move on. And evidently not. So we're going to move on to communications, reports from members, other offices, and committees. First up is Julie with zoning readings. And Julie, there you go.
Okay, good morning. We have a few different readings this morning. The first one is a second reading that we took up at a previous meeting. And I think I've made a mistake. Hold on, I can't do that one because we have to wait a week because of notice. I apologize. These are all first readings.
All right.
We have the application of Nathan and Jennifer Baker requesting zone change from Ag 1 agricultural to R1 residential on 4.751 acres located in the 2500 block of Goose Creek Road. That comes to you by motion made by Commissioner Travis to approve the application of Nathan and Jennifer Baker requesting zone change from Ag 1 agricultural to R1 residential on a 4.751 acre tract of land located in the 2500 block of Goose Creek Road. The recommended land use map in the comprehensive plan recommends low density residential, and the change would be in compliance with the comprehensive plan. It meets zoning regulations as set forth. Commissioner Travis noted that he's very familiar with that location. Motion was seconded by Commissioner Fowl. Motion carried. So that is a first reading on that one.
Okay, is that in Squire Brewer's district?
Let's see, District
Yes, it is.
2.
Yeah, that's mine.
Okay.
Okay, next I have the application of Georgie Herndon requesting R1 residential to R3 residential on 1.012 acres known as Tract 4A, located at 948 Van Buren Road. Commissioner Fowl made a motion to recommend to rezone the application of Georgie Herndon requesting R1 residential to R3 residential on Tract 4A, consisting of 1.012 acres located at 948 Van Buren Road. The recommended land use map in the comprehensive plan recommends low density residential, and the change would be in compliance with the comprehensive plan. There was no one on Zoom to speak against this application. Motion was seconded by Commissioner Travis. Motion carried.
All right. And would that be in Squire Beaverson's district?
Yes.
Okay. And your third one?
It's just those two.
Oh, just those two.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I had the other one in my stack, but that's because I don't want to get it out of place, but I can't do it this week.
Okay. Julie, anything else that you'd like to address the court on?
I don't think so. Not at this time.
I believe
Do I
you
need
got,
to stay on for some other information later
okay.
about bonds or something?
About what?
Didn't you have something on here about silo farms and the
I did,
bonds?
but I believe we're going to pass over that and take that up at our next meeting when we get to that. So,
Okay, all right.
you have received a new vehicle for planning and zoning and tax enforcement? Believe
We
you.
have. I have not driven it or anything yet. Didn't know if we need to wait till we had the county tags on it. I would like to have it marked just like the other one was, so that when we're out and about, people know it's us.
Okay.
So I would like to see, I know Karen Spencer made the decals the last time.
We'll see about getting.
So I would like to have something put on it to identify it.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody have any questions of Julie? If not, we're going to move on to Chris Limp.
Right.
COVID update, and also I believe you've got a
Yes.
comment about the mannequin. So
Yes. The COVID update, as of the last press release I received, which was January 29th, 102 active cases. It appears based on the governor's stuff he puts out every day, we're seeing a decline in cases statewide. I think what we talked about last court meeting, that the governor is shifting how the vaccinations are going. We are still going to do the second round in Spencer County for anybody that received it here. So starting tomorrow, we're going to do the second round for first responders and healthcare workers. And the health district hasn't given me a date yet, but I would assume one day next week we'll do the second round for the 70 plus vaccinated. So
I know the health district has a form that you can fill out online to
get
it's not an application for a vaccine, but they put you on a list that they.
Yeah, to get in line should we receive more vaccine. That's still up in the air right now if we're going to get any more back, but they are taking forms for people to express interest.
Okay.
So we have vaccinated a little over 400 people through the 2 clinics we did.
And their second round will take place here, just like the first.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
But there was a change in all the others, going through more regional centers, I guess.
Correct. But anybody that we vaccinated with the health department will receive their second round here.
Okay. And then you have some information about
I made it, the mannequins you guys approved last court meeting. I made a mistake when ordering, and I had the part number 1 number off, so they shipped the wrong mannequin. Well, they didn't ship. I ordered the wrong mannequin. They didn't ship the wrong one. But I've made arrangements. That's being sent back today. They've already shipped the correct mannequin. So when you get to that bill, the bill will look, I think it was $800 more than what we approved. And so the vendor is going to apply credit to our account. It's the main vendor we use. But just want to let you guys know when you see that bill that I made the mistake. It was not intentional, but I did make a mistake in ordering. So they're making that right with us.
Okay. Anything else, Chris?
That is all I have.
We're going to move on then. Unless anybody has any questions, we're going to move on to Safety Committee report. You all had a meeting this morning.
We did. All the safety committee members were there except for Todd Birch. He was out taking care of the roads. Much appreciated. But we had talked about acquiring spreaders so that Randy and maybe Chris and them can utilize the spreaders to spread salt melt on the steps, and we'll probably do a little bit better job. So I'm going to request that we get authorization to spend up to $200 purchasing 3 spreaders so that we can take care of the ice on the steps and the walkways.
And that's 200 total.
That would be correct. That would be
Yeah.
a total of 200.
Um,
We can take that up later if you want.
No, we can go ahead and deal with. I'm not sure that we even need a motion by the court to do that, but
Okay.
we can, if you want to make a motion that we purchase these spreaders, Squire Brewer's making a motion that we purchase 3 spreaders to distribute ice melt in various areas of county buildings. So
This is Jerry. I second the motion.
we've got a second. Any discussion? All those in
Doesn't seem
favor
like
say
it's
aye.
necessary.
I'm sorry.
It just doesn't seem like it's necessary to
No, it's probably not,
even
but
do that.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll go ahead and get those. And what else you got for the safety?
Back last year, we had talked about doing safety classes for the county employees, and that really got pushed back on the back burner because of COVID. But we are going to go ahead and attempt to start putting together at least classes that we think that we really need. Each department, we're going to contact each department so that we can at least have them ready, so that when we go back to whatever normalcy that we will be allowed to do, we can start doing these safety classes. I think that probably the county is behind in doing some of these safety classes. I know Chris talked about doing CPR classes for all the employees and stuff. So we're just in the stages of trying to get these classes together. So there will be more information coming out, and that's all I have.
As you know, some of the departments, road department comes to mind, already does regular weekly safety training on issues that pertain to road department employees and so forth. I know Recycle Center is supposed to be doing that. I'm not sure how consistent they've been, but we, I know Keiko recommended that we create the safety committee, and I think it has been a positive effect. So appreciate your all's work. Anything else from the safety committee?
Nothing.
Solid waste.
Yeah, just a couple of things. The concrete pad we approved at our last meeting. I talked with Mike Keller, the guy that's going to install that. He's got it on his schedule. It's just weather permitting at this point. Also, the recycled trailers that we have, I would like to recommend that, I don't know who makes the decision to get those back out into the locations in the county, but I think it'd be a good idea for us to start looking to get those back out so people can start recycling again with them.
Okay, a couple of issues. The concrete, I know we've had a hard time getting a hold of the contractor. You've evidently been in contact with him. Just want to make sure that he's got a business license. If you can.
He does. I told him to email, either you or Karen, his business license. He does have one. So he's aware of all that. And he said just weather permitting, he'll get to it.
Okay. And that business license will come from the occupational tax office. So
Correct.
And then the trailers, with regard to the trailers, and we talked a little bit about this last meeting, but I don't know. I'm not wild, particularly on our being cut to the bone on personnel with Recycle Center and our quote Parks Department. It's really been a blessing that we have not been trying to traipse all over the county pulling these trailers in, and it's unfortunate, but they have become dumpsters to some people. So our recycle personnel have to filter through some pretty grotesque garbage that people put into those trailers. It's been a help to us personnel wise to not be putting those trailers out. I don't know how the rest of the court feels about it, but I'm not wild about getting those trailers back out there. I think I'm not in favor of ending recycling, but people that are avid recyclers can certainly, as they have been for most of the year because of the virus and so forth, they can bring it down to the recycle center. It's just too darn expensive to be running out picking up some of this recycling. So I'll just let that be my comments on it. But I don't know if anybody else wants to weigh in on that or not. But I'm not. I know you're requesting that we get those trailers back out there. I'm not, as county judge, wild about rushing to get those trailers back out there because of the obvious problems that we've had. So.
Okay. Well,
Barry, I'm into surplus to things and sell them.
Okay. Well, we're not going to determine that today, but I don't know if everybody heard Jerry saying surplus those trailers. We'll have to research and make sure.
Well, can I make myself on record? I disagree with you, Judge, about the trailers. Those trailers they were given to us with grant money from the state. And just because we do have people that throw garbage in them, there's no doubt about it. But I mean, you don't scrap an entire program because you've got one little issue. You deal with that issue and get it resolved. And it is a convenience for the citizens of this county to have those trailers out there instead of them having to drive to Taylorsville to drop off their recycling. They're able to do that at a point closer to their homes. And that was the whole point of it. It's a service that the county offers. And we know it's not a moneymaker. We understand that, but it's a service. And I say we keep the trailers and we get them back out as soon as possible.
Okay, and I understand it is a service, but when we've cut personnel literally to the bone, we've not had the personnel to be running up and picking trailers up and emptying them out and putting them back out of these various places around the county. We've not had the personnel. One of the things that's appalling to me is the roadside litter. And I would, if we're going to do anything at all to as a service to our citizens, I would, and we've begun working on some of this with some of y'all have seen the signs that we've been distributing out to some of the businesses, asking people not to litter. But I've had several calls, 2 weeks ago from a gentleman over on Mike Brown Lane that somebody had dumped some stuff over on Roberts Road. So I dispatched a couple of actually one Parks employee who was filling in for recycling, and another, I think Wayne might have been part of that, to go and pick that stuff up. I know at the substation there on Washburn Lane, I noticed somebody's dumped a bunch of stuff over there. We don't have the personnel that I can pick up the phone. I at one time last year, I did call and had them, this was basically the Parks Department, but there wasn't enough people over at the recycle center, but to pick up the god awful mess that we had at Elk Creek Grocery with that litter on that hillside. Most of that comes from from that business, or those 3 businesses or 4 businesses up there. I'd like for them to kind of help out. I mean, but I get more comments really about the disgusting litter that we see on the highways than I do about recycling. So I would, be far more in favor of putting time and effort toward working on litter than, sifting through garbage. That people use these recycle trailers as dumpsters, and they're just not. And there's no way of stopping it, but the employees have to sift through all that, and I don't think it's healthy for our employees. But anyway, I don't know if anybody else would like to weigh in on it. Want to kind of keep the meeting going, but
I'd like to say something if I could.
go ahead.
The litter abatement program and the recycling program are totally 2 different programs. We get grant money for litter abatement, and that's going to continue. And we get grant money for recycling, which hopefully that'll continue also. They're 2 different programs. If you eliminate the trailers, that's not going to increase the litter abatement any. We've got that money for that purpose. Of course, that's weather permitting. You can't expect people to go out and pick up litter on a day like today. So they're 2 different programs. And I think we've still got the same amount of employees at recycling as we did when those trailers were being taken out. I don't think that's changed. And I don't think you'll hear Karen complain about taking garbage out of those that people throw in there. So, it's just, I urge the court not to cut back on our recycling with what we got now, because you're going to have a lot of mad people out there if you do.
Well, again, it's not that we're cutting back, because we already cut back by pulling those trailers in. A lot of it was because of the virus and so forth, but it's a matter of whether we put those trailers back out, and I'll leave that for the court to decide. They are 2 separate programs, but we get roughly around $30,000 a year for our litter abatement. Most of that goes to nonprofits. They use that for fundraising to go out and I think it's good to get people in the community out picking stuff up as long as it's done safely. But the problem has been personnel. Who will I dispatch to go up and pick up that junk that somebody decided to illegally dump up there at the power station? Or, so anyway, I've been talking to Karen about it, and this is a discussion that we're not going to come to any kind of agreement on today, but it's something that needs to be an ongoing discussion about how we handle that. So,
Judge, if I may, just one comment, we'll move on. But Spencer Christian has requested that theirs be put back up there. They had some issue with people putting trash in it. They took it up on themselves to request it being taken down, and now they think they've fixed that issue. They would like to have theirs back. So
okay,
that's all I'm saying.
okay. So we can, if the court wants, if your court wants to tell me to put those trailers back out there, that's exactly what I'll do. But you got to remember, we're awfully short on personnel. And I've been saying this for some time. And
I'm not saying everybody. I'm just saying there's probably a select few that could go back out. But
that's right.
The court didn't tell you to take them out, so I think it would be up to you to say put them back out there.
Okay. All right. Any other comments on that? If not, we're going to move on. Okay. Well, we'll go on to the Veterans Committee report. Squire Brewer.
This coming Thursday night, we have our monthly meeting, and our previous commander, Patrick Armstrong, is supposed to be in attendance. We had requested that he get the paperwork to become a Kentucky colonel, and that has been approved. So we will be presenting that to him if he is there for that meeting.
Excellent. And he's now moved, is it to Tennessee?
Tennessee, that is correct.
Yeah. He's done an awful lot on veterans issues in the county, and mapping all the names that are on the memorial and so forth. I don't know if everybody's seen that, but it was an awesome task that he took on, and he did an excellent job with it. Okay, anything else from Veterans Committee? If not, we'll move on to the Equipment Committee. Jerry Moody.
Okay, on the old businesses, and you've already talked about it, with a car for the planning and zoning, and that car come in. We had it inspected, and the only thing we had to do to it was change the oil and filter. Everything else was fine. They could find nothing wrong with it. And if planning and zoning wants to go ahead and start using that vehicle, is all the county clerk can issue a temporary tag for it, and they start using it as soon as the temporary tag is taped on the rear window.
Okay. And I know, and I don't know that we've talked about this. The court approved the purchase of that vehicle. Actually, it was another vehicle that was already sold. Jerry and I talked about it, and Jerry was able to find another vehicle that was every bit equivalent, same price, same year, I think, same roughly mileage on it. So I authorized him to go ahead and purchase that, even though it was not the one the court approved, but I'm sure this court would agree that that was a wise decision. Do we need a motion to basically just ratify that decision to I'll entertain a motion to ratify the decision to change the vehicles that the court authorized. Would anybody like to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we've got a motion
And I'll second it.
and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. And that was, let's see, anything else, Jerry, with,
Gary, I believe we have received the 550 up at the road department. Is that correct? We just haven't received the equipment for it yet.
I believe that is correct. I'd rather check with Todd, but I'm sure you're correct on that.
Okay. And what about any police vehicles? Have we received back any police vehicles from L&W?
Now they're supposed to notify as soon as they get some back.
Okay, thank you.
okay. Again, I want to, I just want to let you know, all of you, how much I appreciate the work Jerry's done on all these vehicles and equipment and getting that back to some reasonable status. If nothing else, we're going to move on then to telecommunications, Squire Beaverson.
All right, this Friday, Interstate Security will be installing the audiovisual equipment for the meeting room at Planning and Zoning. And a little later today, I have a meeting regarding the quote from AT&T, which I'm hoping they give me that quote at the meeting, but that's all that's going on.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, and I know we don't talk often about this, but that the phone project, that does include the circuit court clerk, right?
They didn't want one. They didn't want it. No, it does not.
Okay.
They already have an upgrade.
Okay, good enough. That's what I needed to know. If it's okay, we'll just move right along to old business. And first up is we've got some readings on some ordinances. First one is Kings Mill. Is that, I believe, a second reading? I believe that is. Bear with me while I get to it. Okay. This is Spencer County Ordinance Number 5, Fiscal Year 2021 Series. It's an ordinance relating to the adoption of roads into the county road system. And this is in regard to Kings Mill, 3 roads, Alexander Way, St. James Court, and Waverly Court. We are going to, on passing a second reading of this ordinance, we will be reducing the bond by 50%, and we'll hold that reduced bond for 1 year. And so I'll entertain a motion to approve the second reading.
Travis makes that motion to accept those into the county road system.
All right, Squire Travis.
You can have it, Dave. The other one's on those.
Anybody like to second that?
Squire Brewer, second.
All right, Squire Brewer. Any discussion?
Have to talk to Ed and see if everything's okay.
Yes, yes, those roads have been inspected by the road engineer and the road foreman and the road engineer, so. Okay, any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
Or Travis,
Yes.
or Jerry Moody,
Yes.
or Brewer,
Yes.
or Mike Moody,
Yes.
or Beaverson,
Yes.
or Riley.
Yes. Motion passes, and we will get that advertised. The next one is Spencer County Ordinance Number 4, Fiscal Year 2021 Series. It's an ordinance establishing a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit on Washburn Lane. I'll entertain a motion to approve the second reading.
Squire Travis makes that a motion.
All right, Squire Travis, who's going to second that?
Second, Mike Moody.
All right. Any discussion? If not, call the roll, please.
Or Jerry Moody,
Yes.
or Brewer,
Yes.
or Mike Moody,
Yes.
or Peterson,
No.
Judge Riley,
Yes.
or Travis.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. We will get that one advertised. Next up is a resolution that we need to adopt. This is for our KSP dispatch. Ken, do you want to address this at all? This is kind of a legal issue, but
Judge, I've read it, and it seems fine, but I have not finished that ordinance.
We are actually on the transportation plan resolution, Judge.
oh, pardon me. Let's see here. Hold on. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. This, you are correct, Squire Brewer. That's my error. We are, we have revised the transport plan, the inmate transport plan. We met, it was Sheriff Herndon, and the jailer, Melvin Gore, myself. Don't know if Ken was, I think Ken may have been involved in that meeting as well. But we have made just one small change actually in what we had from our last meeting. It was in section 4, was it, Ken? We just added the Spencer County jailer or his or her designee shall be responsible for transportation of juvenile inmates. So I entertain a motion to approve the revised transport plan for jail inmates.
Motion to approve the inmate transportation plan.
All right, Squire Beaverson.
Second, Mike Moody.
And second, Mike Moody. Any comments, questions, comments, or concerns?
Yes, I have just clarification. Under this plan, is the jailer going to keep his 2 deputies that he has now?
That's not addressed in this. It's something that that the language in here allows for that, but that's not what we're discussing right now. Any other comments, questions, or concerns? If not, call the roll, please.
Barber,
Yes.
or Mike Moody,
Yes.
or Peterson,
Yes.
Judge Riley,
Yes.
or Travis,
Yes.
or Jerry Moody.
Yes.
Motion passes. Next up is under old business personnel, recycling hire, Squire Brewer.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we hire 2 part-time personnel for the recycling center instead of full-time personnel. I think the recycling, or I think the part-time personnel would work out better. We can benefit wouldn't have to be paid. You still get the benefits of 2 people at the recycling center, and she can adjust their schedules as needed so that they can get them in there when most of the work is happening, on Mondays and Fridays. So that's my recommendation, is that we hire 2 part-time, or we advertise for 2 part-time personnel hires at the recycling center.
And I think that was in the form of a motion. Do we have a second?
Did somebody second that? I didn't hear.
Who seconded that?
Nobody, I will, Travis.
Okay. Do you have a feel for the hourly rate that we're going to be
Yes,
offering?
yes, I apologize. That should have been
No, that's
included in there. We'll, at part-time, we will start them out at $13 an hour.
13 an hour, okay. Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? I can tell you that they're well needed over there. Okay, well, if there's no other discussion, call the roll, please.
Square Mike Moody,
No,
Square Beaverson,
Yes.
Judge Riley,
Yes.
Square Travis,
Yes,
Square Jerry Moody,
No,
Square Brewer,
Yes.
Motion passes. And that's going to move us to, since we had recycling higher, I put parks higher on there. Again, we've cut beyond the bone on personnel for both parks and recycle center. Is anybody inclined to make a motion to hire anybody for quote parks department? Okay, well, we want all this work done, but we don't want to hire the people to get it done. So we're going to move on then. I'm assuming unless there's somebody that's willing to salvage that, doesn't look like there is. Okay, so we're going to move on then to, I'm sorry, did somebody?
yeah, just a comment about the parks. Right now, we've got the two full-time. Now, I know in the summertime, they do hire a seasonal help for mowing and things, and I'm sure that will happen again this year in the Parks Department, wouldn't it?
Well, it's going to be up to the court, so whatever y'all want to decide. Okay, new business, KSP dispatch agreement. And we've got a new dispatch agreement, and I'm going to need the court's authorization to sign that. It's a interlocal cooperation agreement. And just need the court's
Motion to approve the interlocal cooperation agreement.
thank you. We've got a motion, and who seconded that?
Travis.
Squire Travis. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Square Beaverson,
Yes.
Judge Riley,
Yes.
Square Travis,
Yes.
Square Jerry Moody,
yes,
Square Brewer,
Yes.
Square Mike Moody.
yes,
All right. Well, some things go very quickly and others drag along. So I appreciate you doing that. And next up is Washburn Lane survey. Squire Travis has gotten a quote, actually, and I emailed that out because Jamie Brown did send a scope of work and a quote to us that I want included in the minutes. And the quote is for $6,000 to do surveying for widening Washburn Lane. So turn it over to Squire Travis.
Okay, this is just one step in the process on Washburn Lane if we're ever going to do any improvements on it. Right now, the property owners own to the center of the road, and really haven't got a clarification from Ken about whether we can get those people just to sign off on it and leave it as is and authorize the county to do work on their property, which legally, I don't know if we can do that or not, but if the correct way I think to handle it would be to survey I think there's maybe 15 different properties on there. So it is going to be kind of time consuming for Jamie to do that. And anyway, and get that step out of the way. And so I'll make a motion that we spend the $6,000 for the county surveyor to survey 50-foot deeded right of way to the county on Washburn Lane.
And the cost is $6,000.
Correct.
We've got a motion.
I believe that the way that estimate read is said not to exceed $6,000, and I will second that.
We've got a motion and we've got a second. Any discussion?
So the property owners own to the center of the road.
That's correct.
Never heard of that.
I'm sure you've got some roads in your district that are like that also. If we just checked into
Well, I
it.
may have, but I'm just,
You know,
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
It's always been the right of way from the center of the road, or from over 15 feet or 15 feet from the edge of the road.
Not always, but as a rule.
As a rule. Interesting.
Yeah, and this road also, guys, it's less than a half mile long, and we're getting a new bridge on one end, and hopefully we'll get a new bridge on the other end. And that road's going to increase in traffic, the amount over the next few years, tremendously. And I'm just trying to, it's the worst road in my district right now, and I'm just using that as one project that I can get done. And it's going to be some other things that'll have to be spent on it also. But anyway, I'd appreciate your support on this.
This is
Question for the judge. Okay, go ahead.
Could I make a
Jerry.
comment, please?
I'm sorry, let's see, I have one at a time. Mike Moody.
Thank you. I understand, why people would want the road improved, for safety and economic development. But in my own district, I've got roads I think are much worse. If you look at Mike Brown Road, Yoder Station Road, Roberts Road, Brashears Creek Road, they're all one-lane roads, and with some of these have much greater safety issues than what Washburn Lane does. Not to mention that if these roads were improved, the great economic development it could bring to those landowners. How it would improve their property values and possibly open up for development and stuff. So I don't see how the county can take on these projects without going. I estimate if we tried to do all the roads that is as bad or worse than Washburn Lane, I could see that we spend $100 million really quick. And I don't think that that's the direction that our taxpayers want us to go.
Well, I agree with Mike, everything you're saying. And everybody's got those roads in everybody's district. But I believe if each one of us just chooses one project in their district and work on it while we're in office and try to get just one done and then move to the next one and then move to the next one. We'll never get them all done. There's no doubt about it. But at least we've never really put any county money into the budget for roads. We've always relied on the state to give us the money for our roads. And I would like to see us put money in the budget this coming year, if we could, for the county roads to get, we need to get started on it. If we just say we're going to spend $100 million, we can't do it, we're not going to do it, then it'll never get done. Let's just take it one step at a time. This is just one little small step, and I think if each one of us would take on a project, and I think the rest of us would support, each other, and we can get some of these projects done.
Well, there's no doubt as magistrates and fiscal court as a whole, we can sit here and pass these motions. I mean, that's not the hard part. The hard part is paying for it. And it is so far outside of our economics. There's a lot of things I'd like to do in life that I haven't done. And I'm sure everybody's the same, but the economics of my situation just don't warrant it. So I think we're biting off way more than what the taxpayers can pay for.
Well, if you probably just look back on the last 2 years that we've been on this court, It seems like we've never had a problem spending money. We have spent money every meeting over and over again. Money that was needed. No, there's no doubt about it. We've upgraded our vehicle and our equipment in the county where it needs to be. So hopefully we're done spending a lot of money there. And so if we had the money to spend that well over, I'm not even going to give you an amount, but it's a bunch that we can spend a few $1,000s on our roads. So, you know, that's, guys, that's just, you know, I just, go ahead.
Well, let me just weigh in. You know, this all, a lot of our road issues go back years ago. I think we were not as stringent when we approved some of these projects. I know on this particular project, I remember well speaking out against the rezoning for that, for exactly that purpose, particularly when the developer was proposing to put lots fronting out onto Washington. I said, at least have the developer improve Washburn Lane, and that was not done. We've got a number of instances around this county where and this court, you know, has taken on, and I'm in favor of it. We've got to clean some of these messes up, but the key is to not allow them to develop in the first place. These are issues for developers. If the county is going to go out here and begin the process of improving roads to improve a developer's property, I don't know. I don't know that that's, I think the developer is the one that needs to improve and make the improvements as a course of applying for the rezoning for property and so forth. That's not unusual. We've actually have begun doing that in some instances. Now with Washburn Lane, you know, this has been one of Jim's projects. As everybody knows, I asked for your goals and what you wanted to accomplish in your district, and some of you gave me something, some of you didn't. I'd say most of you didn't, but Jim has consistently had this as a priority for him. And if you look at the estimates that were provided in the last meeting, if you look at the date on that, it was March of 2019. I wasted no time as county judge executive to say, let me see if I can help Jim accomplish this goal. But when the estimates came back, and we're going to forget the other two sections that were on that estimate, let's talk just about the estimate for Washburn Lane. It was $440 something thousand. And, you know, that seemed to me out of the question for fiscal court to consider dedicating $400 and something thousand to improve that road. You know, it just, I think some of and we need to, at least planning and zoning needs to look forward. If we're going to have more development over on Hostrasser, then perhaps we need some assistance from those developers to improve that road. But, you know, I have talked extensively to our road foreman about this. I've talked to the engineers about it, and starting off with a survey is really probably not the wisest thing. That, you know, the best thing you could do would be to get a detailed plan from the engineers to know what it is that we're looking at. So it's not I know, Jim, you may feel like I'm against your project. I'm not. I didn't waste any time of getting the engineer's estimate. It's not that I'm against it. That road needs to be improved. But as Mike pointed out, golly, I can look around this county and I can point to a lot of roads out here that need to be improved, and maybe even a better case could be made for it. So I just don't know. You know, I think that if anything, we should get an engineer to look at this in maybe more detail, maybe narrow it down to only the area that Jim is concerned about, eliminate the other two areas.
Could I speak just for a second?
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand we're not going to have $425,000 to widen Washburn Lane. Okay, I understand that. That's not a problem. That was my main goal. But if you read the emails that you put in there that I sent to you, Judge, I've scoped that back. We're not widening Washburn Lane right now. What I'm doing is there's steps to be taken to do it. And the first step is to get the right of way. Now, the second step is move utilities. All right. Then the rural aid in Frankfurt will take an application for emergency flex fund money to widen Washburn Lane. But it's got to, yes, it will.
Well, you've made a misstatement, Jim.
Okay.
In that you say emergency flex fund money. That's the two are not the same. We can
No. I beg your pardon. Craig Caudill.
You say flex funds, Jim. Flex funds is money that the state, the 5th district, gives us an option. They say here, and they tell us what that amount is. That, by the way, keeps going down. This current year, I think it was 86,000 or so in flex funds. So the 5th district comes to us as a court and says, here are your flex funds, $86,000. Would you prefer us to use those on state roads, or would the county like to use those on county roads? We always opt to use them on county roads, but it's a set amount established and it's announced from the 5th district. We'll be getting that number. So that is completely different than any emergency road aid.
The flex fund money is different. There is emergency flex fund money that we can apply for.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think you have all the information because what you're saying is not correct. Okay. There is emergency flex fund money in Frankfurt for if it's considered a safety issue, and the money is there. All we gotta do is fill out the application. I've got it filled out. All I'm waiting for is to get some more information.
What you're talking about is applying for emergency road aid, and that is what is afforded to counties that opt into the co-op program. Makes us qualify for emergency road aid. So yes, that we used emergency road aid, for example, on the Hostrasser Bridge when the flood came through there and it wiped that bridge, the surface off that bridge. We applied for emergency road aid because we're part of the co-op to do that. Now that's not a 100% grant, just like the 80-20 bridge money and so forth. But so I think really, I don't, we can pay $6,000 for surveying, but I think we ought to have an engineer's plan and understand what it is that we're surveying for and have a better idea of the whole project. But in the meantime, we've got roads that we can do something about. Arbor Place.
Judge, obviously you're in favor of this, so we've got a motion in a second. Let's vote, right?
Well, I'm ready. Does anybody have any other comments? If not, call the roll on the motion, please.
Comment.
Go ahead.
I'm the only magistrate that's got a road that the road department will not go down or clean when we have snow and ice. So those people, the ambulance has to come from way around to even get to them. Fire trucks has to come way around to get to them. They don't get mail service. And that's a lot more serious problem than Washburn Lane. And I've got several roads that people have to back up when they meet somebody a quarter of a mile.
It's not just in your district, Jerry.
I know me and you have really got it. And if we're going to spend money, when this started with Jim, this is not going to cost the county anything. He was going to get all this through the state. Now we're up to $6,000. There will be no end to this thing. So if we're going to do his, I want mine done. Mine will be safety.
Jerry,
well, certainly Washburn is a safety issue as well if you've driven down there. But we've got these all over the county. But is there any other comments that anybody would like to put forward? Otherwise, I'm going to call the roll on the motion. Okay, go ahead and call the roll.
Clerk Riley,
No?
Clerk Travis,
Yes.
Clerk Jerry Moody,
No,
Clerk Brewer,
Yes.
Clerk Mike Moody,
No,
Clerk Beaverson.
No.
Okay, the motion fails, so we'll continue to try it, Jim, and I will promise you that I will continue to try to help you accomplish that goal. It's, I don't believe that it's attainable in this current session of court or term of the court, but
I
it's
think
certainly something that we, not only Washburn.
this court's going to do anything as far as roads go.
Well, I disagree. We're doing an awful lot. We were, you know, and all counties, by the way, Squire Travis, are going to be beholden.
But we're not talking about all counties here. We're talking about Spencer
Okay.
County.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and move on then. And next item is partial release on the sale of the lot prohibition. And that's actually at Silo Farms. We're going to pass over that and bring it back up next meeting, be February 15th. There's some issues with engineering on that. That was a plan approved back in, I think, 2002. So we just want to make certain what we're doing there before we dive into that. So we're going to bring that up and pass it off until February 15th. It'll be under old business. Next up is election equipment upgrades. There's a resolution from the Board of Elections. I'm not sure that we need the resolution, but I'll turn it over to Lynn Hesselbrock.
The Board of Elections has discussed for quite a while obtaining new election equipment for the voters of Spencer County. Our election equipment is towards the end of its effective life. There are not new parts available for the E-Slate machines. That type of machines will not be certified for use anymore because it does not produce a paper ballot or a paper audit trail. The new type of equipment will be the Verity type of equipment, which does produce a paper ballot. There is a quote in your packets, and the Board of Elections thought it was necessary to submit a resolution so that Spencer County could finally budget for and purchase new election equipment in this down election or off election year in order to have it for 2022 elections, which will be our local elections. The reason we want to purchase it now, or at least move forward with the budgeting and purchase of equipment, is so that we have time to train not only the Board of Election, but the election workers on this new type of equipment.
Okay. Clearly, there's no doubt that this county is going to have to purchase new election equipment. We've talked about it for well over a year now. I'm not entirely sure that Fiscal Court needs to pass the resolution. Maybe the resolution should have been passed by Board of Elections urging Fiscal Court to purchase these, but I don't think we even need that. I think everybody on this court understands and knows that we're going to have to purchase election equipment. Now, the question is, when do we purchase that equipment and at what cost? And if I don't know that there's, I think with the last election and the virus and so forth, it's changed in a profound way, the way that elections are going to be conducted. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lynn, but and I actually, Squire Travis and I were attended a KIPTA Board of Directors meeting last week, and Secretary Adams was on that or made a presentation to the Board of Directors. And that was one of the questions I asked. Do they anticipate that we will, counties that need new election equipment, will they need less equipment than we had before? For example, you've got a quote in here for 18 I I guess this variety scan bundle, is that machines or? I
I'm
guess
sorry,
what I'm
what's your question?
Well, I guess what I'm asking is the quote that you have in here is for equipment to replace the equipment that we've got. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. But there may be a profound change in the way we conduct elections throughout Kentucky, where in the last general election, for example, you had what, 2 or maybe 3 polling places?
We had 3 polling places on election day. We had 2 early polling locations. No matter how the elections change, we will still be serving the same number of voters, if not more. We're anticipating that Spencer County's population will be over 20,000. At least that's, I believe, what you have stated in the past.
Right.
So the Verity bundles, the 18, will be replacing machine for machine our e-scan machines. Where the county may realize some savings is on the precinct election workers, not the equipment.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I was mistaken on that. I was thinking that if you had fewer polling places, you needed less equipment, but I was wrong. So you still, regardless of how many, if you had 2 or 3 voting set up or voting locations, you're still going to use the same amount of equipment if you had all 18 up and rolling, right?
That's correct. And we don't know at this point in time if we're going to have fewer polling locations. That legislation has not even been filed yet, let alone passed. What they will do, I think, is have early voting, in-person voting. They will probably have some Saturday hours, but we're still going to serve the same number of voters. The equipment that is on this quote is a quote that will be good whether or not we have our 14 precincts in 8 locations. We normally have 8 locations. So we do have some consolidation of precincts as it is. These numbers are machines that we're going to need, whether we have 8 locations or whether we have 4.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. So it doesn't make any difference. This is the equipment that you'll need. We're talking about roughly $86,000. And so the question for this court is, and you don't anticipate, Lynn, anything that the legislature is going to do to change the equipment needs. Is that correct?
I do not anticipate that happening.
Okay. So what this court needs to do is to decide, are we going to try to change the current budget to buy this equipment in this fiscal year? Or do we budget for it in the next fiscal year? And how do we pay for it? Do we want to, make arrangements throughout the budget in order to be able to cut a check for $186,000 when this equipment is invoiced? Or do we want to borrow money to not use up, that much of our available funds? Or, it's going to be up to the court how you want to proceed on this. I guess I'll just throw it open to any of you to comment. The question is, do we buy it in this fiscal year or next fiscal year? It's got to be in the first part of next fiscal year, because in 2022, they're going to have elections and they need time to train and get this equipment set up and any bugs worked out, if there are any, and training and so forth. So the sooner that we can get this equipment in, the better. In my opinion, I hope I'm not wrong on that.
Can I just say something real quick?
Go ahead, sure.
I believe Ross Robertson, who is vice president over at HARP, who presented this quote, has said that there's payment options through them. It doesn't all have to be paid in one lump sum. It can be budgeted and, spread over a period of time, but they are more than willing to work with the counties, and they have worked with the counties as far as purchasing this equipment.
Well, I remember him making the presentation. That's been, golly, it seems like going on at least a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, but we weren't, it was my understanding, the Board of Elections was not advocating purchasing them at that time, but looking toward the future, we are there now. We need this equipment, and we need to decide, are we going to purchase this equipment in this fiscal year, or will we need to wait until next fiscal year and plan for it in our budget? You know, it's really up to the court. Lynn, do you have a preference? Is there a sense of urgency? And I suspect there may be, to go ahead and purchase this equipment in this fiscal year?
I would be fine with whatever the court decides. We do need to purchase it as soon as possible. There may be some additional costs to counties election-wise with the e-poll books. I'm trying to get some information on that. When those were originally purchased with a state contract, there was a certain amount of warranty period of time that the state paid for all of them. That's going to be expiring. And when I get more information on that, I will bring that back. I've asked for some additional information on when that warranty will expire and what exactly the cost will be per e-poll book. We will, if nothing else, we will be using e-poll books in the elections from here on out. We won't go back to paper rosters. I'm sure of that. So we will have to accommodate whatever we need to with those e-poll books. That's another piece of election equipment that the county will need to have and maintain for elections. So I think the sooner we purchase the election equipment, the better we will be. And again, Ross Robertson would be more than happy to come and talk to you about payment options.
Well, I think if you would maybe contact him and get him to send us, you know, the various payment options that we have available. Obviously, cash is one of those, but as far as financing, I doubt this court would want to do that. But regardless, you know, the next election is what, May of 2022. And you need this equipment long before that in order to be able to get it, get people trained on it. And is there going to be a big learning curve moving from the old machines that we've got to the new?
It's totally different system.
Okay, so they're going to need some time, and this is I have learned something this morning, is that it doesn't make any difference what the legislature does as far as the way we conduct our elections. We still need this amount of equipment, so we're looking at $187,000 to does the court? I'll open it up to the court. Who wants to be recognized to address this issue? If you don't, that's fine. But you know, do you have any field? Squire Travis, I know you're going to weigh in on it.
Oh yeah, you know that. Yeah, but anyway, just a comment. I know, and correct me if I'm going down the wrong road, but if we don't know what our next election is going to be like, and like you said, Judge, you and I were in that meeting, kept a meeting, and we very well our next election cycle be doing the same thing as we did this time. Now, we had 2 places, maybe 3 open, but they were open for what, 15 days before the election. I can't understand why we need the full 18 machines here if we're going to be open for 15 days prior to the election, where normally it's 1 day. And I can see having 18 machines when everybody is voting on 1 day, but when it's spread out over a 2-week period, I don't think you're going to be able to set all 18 machines up in those 2 locations.
Sure can't buy a bunch of machines at the very end if we don't do it
Squire
that way,
Beaverson, we can barely hear you for some reason.
I said that we certainly couldn't buy these machines at a moment's notice if we end up going back to voting the old way.
Yeah.
So what position do you want to be in?
Well,
I'd rather have the machines and not look like fools.
Yes.
This is one of the responsibilities of fiscal court, and I believe we need to take on that responsibility.
Squire Beaverson, just so I'm kind of have a feel for the direction you'd like to head in, do you anticipate that we should, or do you feel like the court should make arrangements to purchase this equipment before the end of this fiscal year or in the first quarter of next fiscal year?
We need to make sure that we've got it in the budget for the upcoming fiscal year, because the following fiscal year, there's no way we'll be able to do it because we have to withhold funds for the next elected officials.
So next fiscal year, Squire Mike Moody, do you have any feel for when you would like to?
Well, I know this discussion's been going on for, more than today. And it was always, I was always under the impression that's something we were going to do right after, at the beginning of the next fiscal year, is what I thought it was the direction we were previously going. I agree with Brett, we have to make sure that the equipment's ready for when it's needed, but also recognize the fact that the upcoming elections could be substantially different than what we've had in the past. And there's a possibility of online voting. Not that I'm particularly a fan of that idea, but that might be the direction it goes. And I think, I don't think we're going to make a mistake in just being a little careful here and trying to get every last bit of information we can on what's going to happen in the future before we make this purchase. I recognize and support that, we're probably going to have to upgrade this equipment. But I think today might be a little premature. But I certainly appreciate Lynn, keeping it on the forefront here, because things are easily forgot about if we don't do that. And I appreciate it very much that it's here in front of us today.
Okay.
Judge, can we look at and put together a plan where we're paying closer to the end of this fiscal year and then split it with the next fiscal year?
That was going to be my suggestion, Brett.
Well, it depends on the payment terms that are.
For the whole amount.
Yeah.
I believe the last time they gave us 3 years to pay for it, 3 equal payments when we talked about it last time.
I do have a question.
Go ahead, Squire.
So am I correct in understanding we won't have any elections in Spencer County this calendar year?
That's correct.
And so the next election will be in the spring of next year.
Right.
The primaries. Okay. I thought that was correct. I just wanted to make sure that I was thinking correctly.
Yeah, I do know though, maybe, and I'll just tell you my thoughts. I think maybe to wait until the first quarter of next fiscal year, which sometime after July 1, we plan to purchase this equipment. We certainly would know what the legislature is going to do. I may have misunderstood, and Squire Travis, you may remember what Secretary Adams said. I thought that he anticipated that counties replacing their equipment would need less equipment, but it just depends on what the legislature does. So, I think it's probably going to be wise for us to at least see what the legislature does. And I'm sure that Lynn and the County Clerks Association and everybody involved with elections is keeping a pretty close eye on any legislation that might affect this. But I think for the time being, we're going to have to anticipate purchasing $186,000 worth of election equipment. Now, if something
My
changes,
knowledge, there's no legislation filed.
well, according to Secretary Adams, I believe they're working on legislation and there will be some filed, but who knows what comes out of the legislature? We just don't know. So it's not going to hurt us to wait, you know, for a little while to see what they do. I think that our goal should be to have this equipment in hand and ready to begin training in sometime the first quarter of the next fiscal year.
Well, Judge, if I may,
Yes, go ahead.
let's ask the court to consider what our rollover amount is after we close out the budget, which would be in the first quarter, as you're talking about, and then we can take it from there. Then.
Well, I'm going to be presenting the budget to you all, and my goal is by April 1st, not May 1st. I like to get it to you early. And so we're going to make some projections as to what that carryover may be. You know, these are all simply projections. They're not hard and fast.
Understood.
But yeah, I mean, you know,
Well, can you can we just budget it for the next fiscal year coming up, and then we're okay to do it anytime after July the 1st?
Yeah, I mean, we just need to be ready to issue that purchase order and order that equipment and get it in. We need to talk to HARP to understand what kind of time frames. If we place the order, you know, the end of July or versus now, is that, you know, what do they anticipate? You know, we don't want to order at the end of July and find out that they're so backlogged and so forth because of all the other needs across the state or amongst other states that we can't get it. We don't want to be we don't want to be caught, you know.
But don't you think maybe we should get a representative to come and meet with us as soon as possible and give us that information?
I think it's more appropriate now than it was before, because before the need was not to purchase equipment. It was just to simply, I think, let us know that, hey, this is something that's going to be on the horizon, but it wasn't at the time the presentation was made.
Judge,
So,
I have a couple of comments.
yeah, go ahead, Squire.
One is, Lynn, do you know if we do this on a payment plan, we will get the equipment or it's paid off, or do you know that?
Yes, I believe Ross Robertson said that we could take custody, or we can take possession of the equipment. And you all.
That's what I thought too, but I wasn't 100% sure. And the other thing is so if I'm understanding correctly, you put out every bit of your equipment this past election that you have in previous elections.
We put out all of our eScan machines. We did not put out all of our eSlate machines. eSlate are our handicap accessible machines. Since we did not have 8 locations open, we did not have to have a handicap accessible. We didn't have to use as many of the eSlate machines, but we put out all of our eSlate or eScan machines. The ones that scan the paper.
Say that 3 times real fast. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I just want to make sure I understood. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let me do this. I don't think any decision is going to be made today on this. So I think what we ought to do is plan for HARP to come in and have more detailed information about what financing is available, and we know the equipment that we need. So let's shoot for maybe our first meeting in March to have HARP come in and give us another presentation, now that we're ready and serious about buying equipment where we weren't, you know, a year and a half or so ago.
And let's dispose of the resolution, please.
I don't know that we need the resolution's more a resolution from Board of Elections. I mean, it's, you know, it's, if you read the resolution, it's asking.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I think there's a snake in the grass somewhere on this whole thing because we're getting one bid from one company. Now, you can't tell me there's not another company out there that doesn't make the same product. Everything I do in equipment, I've got to get numerous bids to keep everybody happy. And I work my rear end off to do it. But y'all let one guy come in and sell you this stuff because it's under a state contract. And I have proven to everybody up there that a bunch of these state contracts are a joke.
Lynn, do you want to address that? I don't think that, it's not like we've got a lot to choose from as to where we're going to buy election equipment. So
We can look at Dominion.
Dominion, yeah. The Dominion actually may have some role in a number of these different manufacturers, but well, we're not going to sort all that out today. I'm going to, in the interest of time, go ahead and move on. And Lynn, if you would maybe get Hart primed up and ready for a presentation, maybe our first meeting in March, if that would be okay. May have a little, be getting more information out of the legislature, but if that's okay, we're gonna move on. I was gonna say the resolution, it says that be it resolved by Fiscal Court that the Spencer County Board of Elections recommends strong. Well, the Board of Elections is who needs to pass the resolution asking Fiscal Court to act on this. I don't know. We don't need a resolution. We all know that we need to act on it, but I mean, does anybody want to make a motion or anything on the resolution? If not, we're going to move on. Okay, we're going to move on to corner van quotes. Squire Jerry Moody.
Okay. All right, we got a couple things on this that I want the court's opinion on. I have tried, this is a very hard vehicle to replace. I've looked at keeping the same vehicle that we got. It's eventually going to start causing some serious problems. I've looked at when we replace one of the ambulances to take one of the ambulances and use that, and that would be a disaster because that's another diesel problem. I have gotten different quotes. I've done everything. I almost had one to turn in on a used one. And when we was discussing price, the vehicle was sold. And if y'all have got time for me to give you some quotes, I'll give them to you and I'll give you my recommendation. And this is a very hard recommendation for me to make. One was on a 2015 Ford Transit 150, which is very hard to find, and the color was white on it, and it was $18,250. And while I was negotiating, somebody else bought it. Another one was a white GMC, which the GMCs are higher than the Fords, and it had 128,000 on it, and it was $17,250. Another bid I had, and this is from Penske Truck Company, and this would be yellow if you can imagine the yellow color on a Penske truck. Okay, this is a 2015 Ford Transit 250. That'd be a 3/4 ton. Which we don't need a 3/4 ton, but it's hard to even find a 1/2 ton out there. And it was $13,500, $126,000. Another quote I had was another one, and it was $15,000 with a few less miles on it. And what I finally come up with was a bid from the Ford dealer, in Moorhead, 10 Sharp Ford, and the total price on the new one was 24,218, and that would be white, and that would include I call them cargo divider, but they call them a bulkhead divider, and that is a steel piston across behind the front seats of the van, and it's a F-150. I'm sorry, not a F. It's a 150, and it is 18 inches or so shorter than these other vans, and that gives us 115 inches of room from the back of the seat to the back door back there. And we need 80 inches to get the stretcher in. So we saved on that. And then we didn't have any windows put in the back of it. And that saved us money. We've cut every way we can. So it's hard to recommend spending $24,000 for something that won't get but 3,000 or 4,000 miles a year put on it. So I would like some opinions.
Well, I'll tell you what, based on what you've, and Jerry, again, I appreciate the work you've put into this. It's a lot. You've got this quote. This is a brand new 2021 Ford Transit for $24,218. And then you've got some options on there that would bring it up to $26,250 roughly. I mean, I would much rather purchase a new vehicle and have the warranty and all that than purchase one for a few $1,000s less that has no warranty and a heck of a lot of miles, no telling where it's been or who's driven it. But I know from our discussions, you say Penske takes very good care of their vehicles, but we don't know who drives them, the multiple different drivers. But if anybody would your recommendation, Jerry, be to go ahead and purchase the new vehicle from Tim Short?
My first recommendation would be for nobody to die.
There you go. that makes quote life easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I recommend it. I recommend to go ahead and get the new one, but it's whatever the other magistrate wants me to do, then it's fine with me. This is a hard decision for me to make. I've lost a lot of sleep over it.
I would agree that to buy the new one, just because of what you said about the used ones. But if we're going to purchase a new one, I'd like to see 3 quotes on that new one, maybe from Paul Miller or O'Brien Ford, also to see if Tim Short's prices where we want to be. It may not be the lowest. If we're going to buy a new one, I think we need 3 bids on it.
Does that sound reasonable, Jerry?
Yeah, I'm listening to what everybody's saying.
Okay.
Gary, I got a question for you. Is there going to be any other equipment that we need to purchase for this when we purchase this vehicle?
Yes, and you're working on that other place to get stuff done. Overall,
the upfitting.
Yes. All right. It needs to have. I forgot. I think she cannot have blue lights. I think she can only have a red light lighting. She cannot have a siren. She does not need a radio, any of that in it. I've talked to her about that. And I don't know, it's just the markings on the sides.
No rails or nothing like that on the inside to hold anything down, or.
Well, it's got an attachment on the old Anglers that, in my opinion, will fit on this thing.
Okay.
we may have to do a little bit of fabrication on it,
Okay.
and then he wants some markings on it that says corner and stuff like that.
Yep.
And again, it's up to whatever y'all decide is what I will.
All right, anybody else want to weigh in?
Well, I would agree with Squire Travis needing 3 quotes, but I can tell you that from the past 6 months of dealing with Tim Short, there is going to be no other better price.
Okay. Is the consensus then is to hold off and get a couple more quotes on this?
Yes, that's what I'd like to see.
Brett, you got an opinion on it or?
Yeah, I understand Jerry's quandary on this one because boy, it should be nice to spend 13 and a half or 17 on a used vehicle for a coroner. However, all it takes is just a few different repairs, transmission go out or something like that, and we're quickly up to, 20,000, 21,000. So, unless Jerry thinks that we're going to lose this vehicle, if we slow him down, then yeah, the additional quotes would be great. Otherwise, we should go ahead and just give him a ceiling to work with it, $25,000 ceiling.
Well, this being a new vehicle, it's not like, that's the only one that they've made. I mean, they're going to continue to make it. So, we might have to wait a little longer, but whatever. But, it being a new vehicle, I mean, Jerry said himself, about the voting machines, about getting one business for one quote. And so, I think to be transparent as a court, we need to have three quotes on this, like we always advocate that we do on everything else. And Tim Short may very well come back being the cheapest. If he is,
Yeah.
we'll go the cheapest. So.
Yeah, we had other quotes on the voting machines back when that time was going on, but that's not about this topic.
Okay, what are we going to do as a court? Jerry, would you mind going ahead and getting another quote or two on that from a couple other dealers, and we'll bring it back up at our next meeting?
That'd be fine.
Okay.
Whatever makes everybody.
If that's okay with everybody, we'll do that, and we're going to move on then to new business budget request. There's a letter in your packet. The multipurpose action, community action is requesting the release of the additional 10,000 that we've budgeted for them. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
We've got a motion.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. And the next is the review and approval of expenditures, purchases, invoices, and transfers. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to pay the bills and make the transfers.
All right, we got a motion. Moody.
I'll second it.
Squire Brewer, you second that?
Any one of us, yeah.
Okay. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Call the roll, please.
For Jerry Moody,
Yes.
for Brewer,
Yes.
for Mike Moody,
Yes.
for Beaverson,
Yes.
Vince Riley,
Yes.
Squire Travis.
Yes.
Okay, and there's only one just brief thing. I want to make sure that the record reflects that Doug Williams was in my office attending this meeting. I think we talked a little bit about it, but I want to make sure that's in the minutes. And is there anything else that needs to come before the court this morning?
I have one thing.
Okay, go ahead, Squire Travis.
Make it short. I know we didn't have anything in this packet about quotes for the county clerk's office for the new flooring and painting. Where exactly does that stand?
I've asked the county clerk to go ahead and get those quotes, and nothing's been submitted so far.
Okay.
All right, anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
We've got a motion to adjourn.
Second.
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 A bunch of seconds. We'll give that
I'll
second.
second that too.
We'll give that to Squire Beaverson. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are now adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Have a good day.